You can manage a business, carry your family, and crush goals. But if your stress is silently running your show, you're not leading, you are just surviving. You're probably sharp, you're successful, you're capable, but you are always on. You feel like if you slow down, everything breaks. And you've accepted stress as normal, but it's not sustainable. In this episode, I want to help you walk away with 3 very practical things to help you address those challenges. First is a practical understanding of how internal stress sabotages high performance, even if everything looks fine on the outside. Secondly, I want to offer you a proven way to reset your nervous system so that you can lead with clarity, energy, and authority. And third, I want to offer you a simple daily reset plan that men of greatness use to help them create margin without losing the momentum that they've been working so hard to build. Look, I have been in the same place that you may be in right now if this is already resonating with you. I was wired but worn out. My business was on the hockey stick up and to the right, but I was emotionally trapped. I had to learn that managing stress wasn't weakness. It was leadership stewardship. That's when things started to shift for me. So let's dive into what's going on behind burnout and answer the question that if you're watching on video, you're looking at this on my shirt. Answer the question, what if God's plan wasn't the grind? Men of greatness, rise and stand tall. Welcome to Unlocking Greatness. I am here doing everything I can to serve Christian men to continue to succeed professionally without destroying their faith or their family in the process. We do it through the podcast, video, a private community on the school platform, and I am just loving the transformation that I am seeing in so many men that we are serving. So let's talk about stress. I think this is something that so many of us deal with. If you are an entrepreneur, if you're a high performer in business, it's almost just like it's an acceptable reality. For some of you, it may even be a badge of honor. And I think that that is absolutely ridiculous. It's why I crap on the idea of the word grind. I don't think that we need to be grinding ourselves down to dust, but that's absolutely what so many of us are doing. And it is destroying our health in the process. I mean, stress is always celebrated. It's always like, oh man, that is the badge of the high achiever. You are amazing. You have to be able to deal with it. But the reality of the matter is that stress, especially dealt with for a prolonged period of time or endured for a prolonged period of time, starts to distort so many things. It's distorting your decision-making. It's distorting your leadership, and it disconnects you from your faith and your family. How do you know whether or not you are dealing with stress? If it's not just exhaustion, but it's something so much more. Well, if you are overreacting at home, you may be dealing with too much stress. If you are feeling an emotional sense of numbness or distraction, like you're just not even feeling it, you may be too stressed. If you're feeling brain fog, fatigue, digestive issues, or sleep issues, whether you can't get to sleep or you can't sleep consistently, or you're waking up in the middle of the night, you've got it, dealing with too much stress. And finally, if you are constantly operating from a place of urgency and reactivity, yes, one last time, you are probably stressed out. I have been in this position so many times, and I just think back to these places where I was constantly in this state of chaos. I was working hard. I felt like I was always behind the 8 ball. I was serving a lot of clients though, so I was making good money. And I just kept telling my wife over and over again, it was like, it's okay. It's just a season. It's just a season. It's just a season. But man, she saw right through it. And it wasn't as though I was doing it with ill intent. I was just covering up this burden that I was carrying, this stress that I was feeling. And she started to see it taking over me. And finally, and now all of the time, she's the first one to say, hey, you got to get your crap together because you are letting this get to you. You're overworking yourself. You're pushing yourself too hard. And she knows that I am all about discipline, not chaos. And when we are taking on a lot of stress and just living a lifestyle of stress, if we're operating from a place of stress, that is definitely because we are undisciplined. We have broken systems, we have broken processes, and we are not able to execute in the ways that we should. On top of that, as Christian entrepreneurs, we need to see that we are not to take on all the burden ourselves. Jesus himself says, cast your burdens on me and I will give you rest. And that is the very thing that we don't do. We don't take him up on that offer because we somehow see that that's like some form of weakness. And I think that that is absolutely ridiculous. It's irresponsible, and it is a path to destruction. You're going to fall apart. You're going to blow up your business. You're going to screw up your family. You're going to do a whole lot of other things in the process. So when I rattled off those 4 symptoms of stress, sabotage, if you resonated with one or more of those, what I would encourage you to do right now, like just hit pause on this, and maybe you just need to take a little bit of inventory. What's one sign that stress is mastering you? What's one sign that stress has taken over your life, your business, your head, your heart, whatever it may be? So that's one just simple action step you can take right now, right in the middle of listening or watching this right now. But too often, I will say, when we're dealing with stress, we are catching it after the fact, when chaos has already ensued. And so we're reacting and sometimes overreacting to all the stress that we're dealing with. But I want to present to you this idea that burnout, that cycle of burnout, starts with a self-betrayal. It's not just external. It's not just that you are taking on too much. It's that you have come to a place where you have started to neglect yourself internally. One of the most common forms of self-sabotage that I see is ignoring the internal signals that you're feeling. Again, back to you're not sleeping, you're acting like an a-hole to your family, you're getting foggy in the brain, you're missing meetings, you're constantly distracted. Like if you're feeling those things, then that's a really good sign. The problem is again, because there's this badge of honor that I can take on all things as an entrepreneur, you don't address them. And when you miss that, you start to blow up. You're self-sabotaging. So here's a common pattern that a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of high-performing men find themselves following. So it starts with, I identify a warning sign. I feel something, but I suppress it. So the first thing I do is I suppress the warning sign. Second is I start to feel that level of stress, but I medicate it with more work, with food, with noise, with booze, with scrolling, with porn, there's so many things that we will turn to as ways to relieve our stress, but those are just temporary self-medication that again are never going to be good for us, and they're definitely not going to help us to cure our stress. The third thing that we do is we just justify it. So we go from suppressing it to, oh, okay, I'm starting to feel it, so I'm just going to self-medicate it, to we then justify it. Well, this is just a season that I'm in. This is just the role that I play. I mean, this is the life of an entrepreneur. I mean, I'm in the hustle. I'm in the grind. You're in the idiot phase. I absolutely respect and understand that there is a time and a season for everything, as the book of Ecclesiastes says. And yes, when you start up your business, it could be an intense season of investment of time, and you're riding a line of stress for sure. It could be that when you're launching a product, or when you're getting to the end of a quarter or a year, and you're making kind of a last second charge towards that goal. I understand that there's going to be heightened levels, but I find too often with the high performing entrepreneurs that I run into, and this is always the men. When I start talking to them about the challenges that they're facing, and I hear season, I start to ask more questions, and I realize that they've been saying that for years and years and years. And I just want you to know that it may be a season, but you're just going to add another season of the same crap to it. It just may look a little bit different. The fourth thing that I see happen in this pattern of burnout cycle is you will continue to repeat this garbage until something breaks. You will continue to repeat taking on more. You will continue to repeat self-medication. You will continue to repeat suppression. You will continue to repeat justifying it. And you will do that over and over and over again until your wife comes to you and she says, I'm out. I'm over you. Your kids are like, Daddy, where have you been? You miss my game. You miss my practice. I haven't seen you. Will you play with me? You haven't played with me in a long time. You're getting sick. You're drained. You're not happy. You're just dealing with it. Don't you hate that? Your joy is completely gone away. The very reason why you typically started the business you did is no longer the reason why you're in it. You're literally destroying yourself in the name of, well, this is just the way it has to be. And that's ridiculous. I encourage my guys all the time. I'm like, look it, you need to go back to who are you and how are you expecting yourself to live, to operate, to be? This idea of being authentic. Honesty precedes healing. Be honest about who you desire to be, but who you are actually acting as right now in the process. And if those two things aren't aligned, you got to do something about it. On top of that, I talk a lot about excellence, and I say that excellence is far more about daily stewardship than it is about nailing it perfectly. I mean, we're not perfect. We're never going to nail it consistently. And so I would rather understand that I'm just going to give it my best every single day, even if I don't get everything done, and that's okay. I'm not going to constantly pile on more and more and more because I have a higher expectation of myself. Sure, some people are mailing it in, but I'm expecting that you that are listening or watching right now, you don't have a problem not working hard. You have a problem typically working too hard. And there is such a thing. So you need to know yourself, but I know my audience and I know who I'm talking to. And so if you're finding yourself in this place, if you're finding yourself in that pattern, you're like, oh man, I suppress that stuff a lot. Oh, I have started self-medicating. I'm putting on a little extra weight because I'm eating like crap. Man, I'm not sleeping very well. Man, I am having some issues with my wife. I'm not really that happy. If you're feeling those things, then I would encourage you to look seriously into the one or more areas that are causing you to break your own boundaries. You should be the one setting expectations. I mean, especially if you are an entrepreneur, you got into that business because you wanted to call the shots and you are no longer calling the shots. You have given over control of your business to your clients, your vendors, and everybody else that's stressing you the F out. Pointless. You might as well just go back to work for somebody else, punch in, punch out, and be done. Call that out, write it down, and commit to changing that. You don't have to stay this way. And you aren't awesome for carrying a lot of stress. You aren't awesome for bragging about being in the grind. It's so dumb. It's literally so dumb. I've loved following a few guys now that are finally starting to talk about the fact that you don't have to destroy your life to be successful. There's this guy, his name is Justin Welsh. I typically follow him on X, but I'm also following him on LinkedIn. He posts a lot more on X. And he works like 20-hour weeks, has a multi-million-dollar a year business, solopreneur. And he's like, I'm never going to give up my freedom for anything more than this right here. Dan Martell, very successful entrepreneur, speaker, coach, author, talks a lot about buying your time back. And he talks so much about the fact, like, dude, what's your problem? Why are you just inundating yourself with things to do? Decline, offload, outsource, whatever. Again, there is a time and a season, but when it becomes season after season after season of stress and burnout, you are going to destroy yourself and you will never achieve the things that you set out to achieve in the first place. You need help. We talk about this a lot in our Men of Greatness community. So many of these guys, and they're in different stages. I think the youngest guy in the community is about 23. The oldest guy's in his mid-50s. And yet, what's interesting is across the spectrum, they're all living in this place. And they are trying to fight for more freedom, more time. But yet then they find themselves in these cycles of overdoing it. And so it's just a very real thing that we're walking through. But it's great when you can talk about it and be honest and authentic about it, because when you put it out there and somebody else says, yeah, man, me too, but I don't want to be this way either. Let's work together to hold each other accountable and support each other. So there's a lot of ways in which we're able to support each other through these things when we surround ourselves with other like-minded individuals and we put it out there. And so that's something that I can't encourage you enough to do. But for you specifically, one of the things that I promised when we got going was I wanted to offer you a daily rhythm to reset your system every single day, to give you a place to just breathe, reset, relax, take some of that pressure off just for a few minutes. So there's 3 things to this Men of Greatness daily reset plan that, again, super duper simple. But I think these things are so exceptionally beneficial for every single man out there that finds himself stressed. And you're going to say, man, I don't got time for that. And I'm going to tell you, you do. Give up some of the time doing the crap that you don't need to take on and focus on this. You're going to be far more successful and far better for it, and far healthier for it, by the way. So 3 things to this Men of Greatness daily reset plan that I believe are going to be instrumental for you, and they are also simple. The first one starts off with a morning anchor. Anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. Read scripture, be still, stretch, walk, and pray. And I would say you can do those in any order, though I would encourage you to start with scripture, because when God speaks first, crazy things start to happen. So start with scripture, and then you can work through each of those other ones. Shoot, you can go on a walk and pray at the same time. You can be still and pray. You could stretch and walk. I don't know. But that morning anchor is such a great way to reset your mind and get your day going in the right direction. So morning anchor is number 1. Number 2 is schedule in a midday reset. This can be 5 to 30 minutes long, but really 5 to 10 minutes is fine for this. Shut down your computer, literally put it to sleep or close it. Take a deep breath, pray, go step outside if you're in an office. And one bonus to this is if you download the Pause app by the Wild at Heart team and John Eldridge, this is an incredible way to reset midday. You can do a 1 to 10 minute pause in which you can listen to John walk you through a meditation and a prayer, share some scripture through there. There's a variety of different things that you can listen to of different time durations. So that could be part of this. Shut down the laptop, take a deep breath, and then pause. And you can do that with the app. It's called the Pause app. I'll put that in the show notes for this episode so you can check that out. So midday reset. And then the third thing is an evening check-in. So we've done a morning anchor, we've done a midday reset, then an evening check-in. And this is an opportunity for you to really do 2 things, to reflect and reconnect. To reflect is, what did I carry that God did not ask me to today? What is it that happened, that I did today, that I was in control of? What was it that I was in control of today that God didn't ask me to do? And just take some time to write that down. What was it? Why did I take it on? How can I prevent myself from taking that on in the future? So just a great little exercise. And then reconnect. Reconnect with your wife and kids every single evening. So that first reflect component could take 5 to 10 minutes. But then the reconnect, That's going to be the remainder of the night. Take time with your wife and your children. No screens. To listen, to laugh, to play, to have fun, to enjoy time with your kids before they go to bed. And then, man, to enjoy time with your wife, to connect and communicate. Prime yourself up for a great night in bed, both with sleep and with intimacy. But if you're expecting that you're going to be working, slam that computer down, hop into the sack, and then do your thing, you probably have another thing coming. And that's a great way to reset. So, morning anchor, midday reset, and an evening check-in. I think those three things can be extremely beneficial to you. They are for our men of greatness, and I think they could be beneficial to you as well. These things work, by the way, because this is a combination of physiology. These are the things that our body needs, and faith, which is what our body depends on. What our mind, our soul, our heart depend on is our faith. It gives us clarity and calm when we connect those two things together. It also resets our body in the morning, middle of the day, and at the end of the day, so we can get back up on the horse and get after it again. So we can re-engage and give our full self to the situation. But when you are just burning throughout the day, eventually there's nothing left. And sometimes you get lucky enough and you get to the end of the day. Other times, man, by 11 o'clock in the morning, you're shot. Anchor, reset, and check in. So you can start with all three of those, or you could do it as simple as just picking one. Pick one of those three things and start tomorrow. Just start with the morning anchor. Just start with the midday reset. Just start with the evening check-in. But here's what I want to encourage you to do. I want to encourage you to put it on your calendar. You are a professional, you have discipline and structure, and I am sure that for your business meetings, whether those are internal, external, client-facing, whatever they may be, those go on your calendar. They do for me, for sure. And once it's on my calendar, it stays there. I respect that time. And so my encouragement to you would be to put that on your calendar and treat it like your future depends on it, because it does. You are going to eventually burn out if you have not already. And you just aren't willing to admit it. Or maybe you have, and now you're right back in the same cycle, and you're like, how the heck did I get here? And I'm like, I'll tell you how you got here. You did it. You didn't learn the last time, and you're doing it all over again. So I can't encourage you enough to take the time to do this, to recognize that, yes, as a high performer, we can take on more stress than others, but we're not created to be stressed out all day, every single day. We didn't get into business to be stressed out all day, every single day. So don't put yourself through that. There is no badge of honor for being the most stressed out, for facing burnout the most times. No one's going to celebrate that. What they're going to celebrate is the fact that you are an incredible human being, a great father, a wonderful husband, that you crushed it in business, that you were a great leader to your employees, that you were a great influence to the community around you. That's what people are going to celebrate, not I've been stressed out for 63 straight days. And for some of you, that's just scratching the surface. So as a reminder, three things that I think are extremely beneficial as you consider this idea of stress and being stressed out and burnout, and with it, the anxiety that comes and so many other things. Three things, just to take away. Again, just reflections back on what I've shared that I think will be helpful for you. One is stress is a warning signal. Do not ignore your body. Do not ignore your mind. Do not ignore your soul when they are trying to speak to you. Listen and respond. 2, burnout begins when we break our own boundaries and then lie to ourselves about it. Set boundaries. Adhere to them and do not compromise on yourself because you don't deserve it. And 3, you can reset your system daily, multiple times a day. And that requires daily rhythms that are going to protect your health, that are going to restore your focus, your leadership, your strength. But you need to build those into your day. That needs to be part of your discipline, part of your system. So let me ask you this. Where in your life are you most stressed out? And how is that negatively impacting your ability to be able to win? Or maybe more briefly said, where is stress silently winning? Where are you being beaten by stress? And then to follow that, what reset rhythm are you willing to implement and be disciplined around in order to start moving in the other direction? Look, if this hits home for you, follow that daily reset plan. It's so simple, but it's so effective. And it compounds over time. Just like taking on too much stress over time will continue to drive you farther and farther into the ground. The more consistent and disciplined you are around resetting yourself every day, multiple times a day, the more that will compound, and the more energized you will be throughout each and every day, and the easier it's going to be able to execute on those disciplines anyway. I want to say this too. Mastering stress is not about just rest. It's about protecting your ability to lead, to love, and to serve for the long haul. You don't want to be a one-hit wonder. You want to leave a legacy, and that's going to require you to sustain the momentum that you have begun for a long time to come. But you got to protect that. Are you willing to do what it takes? So that simple daily reset plan. And if you're tired of doing this stuff alone, if you're like, man, I've been feeling this way and I just don't know where to go with it. I just don't know what to deal with or how to deal with it. I invite you into our community. We have a private community on School called Men of Greatness Brotherhood, and it's designed for just this, to be able to share in both the high highs and in the low lows, to be able to put our challenges on the table and to hear that we're not alone, but also to be poured into and encouraged on ways that we can grow from that we can relieve ourselves from that stress in a healthy manner so we are not self-medicated, so we are not hiding it, and definitely so we don't end up burning out. So if you're ready, join our community. You can go to school.com/men-of-greatness. Or you can just click the link in the show notes below. It's up to you. But it's time that you take action. Because if you want to see that vision that God has put on your heart achieved, you can't afford to burn out. I know I can't. Peace.